Thank you. So I was called at the last minute to cover for Martine, who's taking care of a family situation. And I have been working on putting all of my channeled messages into a book. And the word that keeps coming to mind is these are astounding. I'm learning so much from going through these teachings myself. It's very clear to me that receiving spiritual messages is not the same as integrating spiritual messages. So I'm practicing with them as I go through them. So this is the one I was working on today, and it feels appropriate. So I'm going to start with the opening. My friend John Hempstead, who I do this with, this was a meeting where several new people had joined, and it was quite a large online group. And he says, he tells about when he was a kid, he used to see earth spirits and, animal spirits, and he would play with them and talk to them. And then he had an experience of having a communication with God. And then he learned that his mother was diagnosed with mental illness. So he thought, oh, well, that means I'm crazy and I better turn it off. So it was very powerful for him when he met me. And here I'm chatting about spiritual revelation experiences, and I appear to be perfectly sane. So that was very helpful for him. And he encourages people. He says, the reason I'm bringing this up, some of you may have hidden in your background things like I did. So when you're listening, for those of you who are new, and particularly if you have any doubts, my request is just set them aside and say, well, this is a possibility. This may really be happening. If you're not one who knows that this is clearly divinely inspired words, just set that aside and have today's experience be hypothetical if you'd like, but enjoy it. Be fully open, with your mind open. And with that, let's start. So we do an opening prayer. And here are the incredibly beautiful words that came to me. It is with great joy that we welcome all of you today in this very powerful circle of souls who love one another deeply. This is a community of souls who have strong bonds with each other. And you know that you are one in the Christ consciousness. You have all, we are reassuring you that you are safe. If you could picture yourselves as safe and protected, as if you were inside the walls of a cloister, but those walls are not made of stone, they are made of light and love, the protection of God. If you could picture all of that all around you and know that no harm will come to you, then you will feel more confident to bring your knowledge of who you are as a divine child of God into the world. We have shared with you before that now is the time for you to speak more freely about what you know and not keep it as something private. Laura I don't need to read that part, it doesn't sort of matter. So we are sharing with you, not only is it normal, it is actually who you are. Your identity, your being, yourself, your very nature is the child of God. And the child of God cannot be unlike God. So who you are is in full communication with all of creation at every moment. The thing that is strange is to think that you are a little speck of consciousness that is disconnected from anything else. From the perspective of the Christ mind, that is a very strange thought indeed. So you are all adjusting to not just this intellectual understanding, but a feeling knowing that your true identity is the universal awareness of the Christ mind. Now, universal awareness sounds large and abstract. Laura was struggling earlier with reconciling the infinite capacity for knowing that is the Christ mind with the feeling of intimacy that is the experience of that infinite capacity for knowing. As a human, the feeling of intimacy seems small and focused between two people who know each other well and seem to get each other. You are all gotten by God. You are all begotten of God. It is not in any way possible that there is any aspect of you who are, any aspect of you, there's a typo in there, any aspect of you that cannot be known by God, because there is no separation between you and God. So there is no thing at all that can be distinct from God in who you are. This feels intimate because God knows every cell and molecule of your body. If you could please just tune into yourselves physically and feel that being known. Explore your awareness of every spot in your body and feel the feeling of being known. Now add to that you also know everything. This is a two-way experience. This is why you were created, so that God could know herself. You also know God fully and intimately. This is the purpose of our practicing together, so that you can receive more and more knowing of God. The knowing of God also has, there's the biblical sense of being known, as in sexually known. So the knowing of God is an ecstatic experience. This is the path that we are all on together, is to help you rejoin your place in the circle of the Christ consciousness. In the circle, there's no beginning and no end. You have all always been in this circle. You have just forgotten that for a little while. So today we would like you to feel the knowing that you know God and God knows you, and you know one another. This is why, as a human, Yeshua said, love one another as I have loved you. Only now is humanity beginning to have a feeling knowing of what that meant. To love one another means to know one another, which means to know that you are one another, and there is nothing about each one of you that cannot be known. It is not the particular gift of a psychic who can see into people. This is simply a human who has been willing to enter into that portal and see into the Christ consciousness with it, which is a shared consciousness. All of you have the capacity to enter that portal and be in the Christ consciousness. The more you practice laughing at the clever tricks of the ego, the more you become aware that you have been in the Christ consciousness all along. It is truly an ecstatic experience. So please tune into your bodies at this moment and notice where there's a vibration, a heat, or a tingling, a glow. You'll probably notice this most in your third eye, in the palms of your hands, in the soles of your feet, and in the root chakra. You will also probably notice lots of activity in the heart. So just tune into this warmth, this vibration, this ecstatic awareness that there is no separation between your consciousness, the consciousness of this community of friends, and the consciousness of God. We would like to repeat that the goal of all of your path of awakening is to know God. The reason that we ask you to physically attune to the sensations of God in the body is that it does take practice to allow yourself to tolerate this experience. It can feel rather threatening because you cannot be defended and feel God simultaneously. So if there are any places that are defended still, they will feel threatened simply because the vibration of God is shimmering the defenses apart, as if you had a pile of children's blocks and the floor started shaking. Those blocks would crumble into a heap. So sometimes when you feel the vibration of God's love, you will have an experience of a particular defended spot resisting because it knows that it's melting, like that wicked witch of the West. We are all very encouraged that all of you want to participate in this circle, because the more of you there are, the stronger your confidence in your experiences of knowing God will become, so that when you walk out into the world, you can remember that there is this family of beings who know that they are returning home to God, and you are not crazy. This is, in fact, your true state, as we said at the beginning. The idea that you are separated, that is the idea that is crazy. This is not a judgment. It is simply a description. It is an insane thought to believe that you are separated and cannot be in full communication with your brothers and sisters and all of creation and God. Now, some people have a particular ability to be in communication with animals, and some with plants, and some with water, and some with rocks, and some with the landscape, and some with the weather. As we have named each of these particular attunements, different images have come to your mind of people that you have known, or of yourself, or historical people that you have known of, who have had these particular skills of attunement. Each one's soul has a different vibrational pattern. This is only apparently a paradox to the separated mind, that vibrational patterns can be different and the same at the same time. So there are some beings who are extraordinarily attuned to animals and can receive communications back and forth, or to birds, and are aware of what the birds are saying to each other and of the warnings and celebrations that birds share. Some of you have had the experience of the earth speaking to you and have wondered if you are making this up. This is the earth speaking to you. She is a soul, as we have shared with you many times before, and she is speaking to you. We have asked you before that whenever you can, please to walk on the earth with your bare feet, not only to give her your love, but so that you can also receive her love. This comes not only in the form of vibration, but also of knowings. So when you are out walking on the earth, be very attuned to whatever communications are being sent into your awareness. Please notice at the moment the soul of the earth. She is waking up, and see if you can feel her energy. Some will feel it as an undulation, some as a tremor, but she has been in somewhat of a stupor. She agreed to receive the fearful thoughts of humans because she agreed to be the stage on which the child of God could enact the belief in separation. That role is coming to a close because the child of God is no longer in need of a physical stage on which to enact this belief in separation. So the soul of the earth can become more of an active participant in everyone's awakening, hers and yours. So this is why we are saying to you, when you walk out upon the earth, do attune your awareness to messages that are coming to you from the earth and the trees and the animals and the birds. Please experience the feeling of knowing that you are participating with this circle of friends who are all experiencing the intimacy of being known by God, and the dawning awareness that this is the same as knowing God. God is not separate from any of you. God is not distant. This can come as quite a shock to a deeper place of the ego that wants to keep you believing that you are small and only a human. So to hear that as a soul, you are in full communication with God, and your knowing of God is received by God also as an ecstatic awareness. This is quite a shock. God extends to you her gratitude that you desire to know her fully. She extended herself to you in creation so that you could be known by her, and she could as well be known by you. Just imagine for one moment the joy that you experience when there is another human soul with whom you are in deep communication. This is the most delicious awareness that any of you can experience. This being known and knowing, this full awareness, is the most sought after experience that all humans have. It is love sort of bleeding through, you might say, into the world meaning the collective consciousness of the thoughts of the ego. When you do have that experience of knowing and being known by a fellow traveler, please be aware that that is also the experience of knowing and being known by God. There's no distinction in these experiences. The love of God shows up in what you might think of as small ways. Simply smiling at someone is the miraculous extension of God's love. The more these extensions of love occur in the world, the less the grip of fear continues on. Please be assured that the grip of fear is softening, and so the love of God shows through more and more frequently. You have all had experiences of interacting with strangers and feeling it like the most natural and normal communication, as if you had known each other always. And it matters not that you continue on and will never see each other again. We are reassuring you that this happens more and more frequently as the grip of fear softens and the love of God shows more and more frequently in all human interactions. We reassure you of this because the ego still likes to make money off of the fear. And so what you will see in your media will be mostly the stories about fear, but they are in fact diminishing. Just sit with us for a moment and rest in that knowing that the love of God is shining through the network of human actions more and more frequently. As you rest in that knowing that you are awash in a sea of love, please know that we delight in your unfolding process, and we are with you every step of the way as you become more and more aware of who you truly are, the child of God who delights in knowing her parent and being known. And so it is.